The night Sarah Whitmore decided to follow the janitor was the night her life quietly cracked open. She had stayed late again, the glass tower in downtown Chicago nearly empty, the city below glowing like a restless ocean. From her corner office, she watched him push his cleaning cart down the hallway, shoulders slumped, moving with the tired patience of someone who had learned not to rush anything anymore. Michael Carter was his name, a single dad who never missed a shift, who nodded politely but never asked for favors. Something about the way he folded his paycheck into his jacket that evening, careful and almost reverent, stirred a strange ache in Sarah's chest she couldn't explain. Before this story goes any further, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet goodness that still exists in this world. Stories like this matter because people like Michael exist everywhere, unseen and unheard. Sarah had built her empire by trusting numbers, instincts, and sharp decisions. As CEO of a fast-growing logistics company, she was used to control. Yet that evening, control slipped. She told herself she was only curious, that it was concern for an employee, but deep down something softer guided her steps as she watched Michael leave the building and walk toward the bus stop instead of the parking garage. The wind cut through his thin jacket, and he pulled it tighter, not to protect himself, but to guard the envelope inside. The bus ride took him away from the polished skyline and into a quieter part of the city where streetlights flickered and buildings wore their age openly. Sarah followed at a distance in her car, heart pounding harder with every mile, ashamed of her own intrusion yet unable to turn back. Michael stepped off near a row of aging apartment blocks in a small strip mall with a grocery store that looked like it had survived on hope alone. He did not go home. Instead, he walked. Inside. Inside the store, Michael moved with purpose. He picked up rice, canned beans, bread, and peanut butter, counting silently, putting items back when the total crept too high. He added diapers and a small carton of milk, then paused in the toy aisle. His hand hovered over a cheap plastic dinosaur, bright green, the kind that roared when squeezed. He smiled briefly, a smile that carried both joy and apology, before placing it in the cart. Sarah watched from the end of the aisle, her throat tightening. This was not charity shopping. This was sacrifice. When Michael paid, the cashier handed him a receipt nearly as long as his arm. He folded it carefully, just like his paycheck, and left the store carrying bags that seemed heavier than groceries ever should. Sarah followed again as he walked past his apartment building, past the dark windows, and toward a small brick church at the corner of the street. Its lights were on, warm and steady, cutting through the cold night. Michael stepped inside, and after a moment of hesitation, Sarah followed. From the back pew, she watched him unpack the bags, organizing food into boxes already stacked near the altar. There were labels on them, names written in marker, families Sarah had never met. Michael moved quietly, almost invisibly, placing the dinosaur toy into one box with extra care. He knelt for a moment afterward, head bowed, shoulders shaking slightly, not in despair but in release. Whatever burden he carried, this was how he shared it. Sarah learned later that Michael's wife had died 3 years earlier from a sudden illness, leaving him with a 6-year-old son named Noah and a world that no longer made sense. He had taken the janitor job because it offered stability and health insurance, even if it meant working nights and missing bedtime stories. Every paycheck was divided before it was ever his. Rent first, utilities second, food for Noah third, and then, whatever remained went to families who had even less. Michael had grown up hungry, raised in foster homes, and promised himself that if he ever had something to give, he would give it. Sarah did not reveal herself that night. She left the church with tears she did not wipe away and questions she could not ignore. Over the following weeks, she watched Michael more closely, noticing the way he hummed softly while cleaning, the way he fixed broken chair legs instead of reporting them, the way he brought leftover snacks from meetings home in his pockets. She pulled his employee file, then closed it, ashamed of the power imbalance. Instead, she began to change things quietly. Overtime policies were adjusted. Wages were reviewed. A scholarship fund appeared for employees' children, unnamed and unexplained. Still, it wasn't enough. Sarah knew that, so one evening she waited until Michael finished his shift and asked him to step into her office. She did not speak as a CEO that night, but as a human being who had seen something sacred. She told him she knew. She told him she was grateful. She told him that goodness like his deserved to breathe easier. Michael did not cry. He simply listened, eyes downcast, hands folded, as if afraid that gratitude might come with strings attached. When Sarah offered him a new role overseeing facilities with better hours and pay, he hesitated, thinking of Noah, thinking of pride, thinking of the church boxes. He accepted not for himself, but because it meant reading bedtime stories again. Life did not turn into a fairy tale overnight. Bills still came, grief still visited, but Michael began to sleep more, smile more, live more. The church pantry grew, supported now by a quiet partnership Sarah never put her name on. And Sarah herself changed in ways no board meeting could measure. She started staying later not to work, but to watch people, to remember that behind every job title was a story she might never fully know. Just before this story ends, take a moment to comment below and tell us what kindness means to you in your own life. Your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today. Years later, when Michael's son stood on a small stage at a school assembly, accepting an award for community service, Sarah sat in the back, unnoticed and content. The green plastic dinosaur still lived on a shelf in their apartment, a reminder that even the smallest gestures could echo forever. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that goodness often works in silence, please like, share, and engage with this video. Your support helps keep stories like this alive, and sometimes that's how the world changes, one quiet paycheck at a time.